So let me bring this up here quickly. Somebody asked about the MSTU. So look at MicroStrategy today. It's at 477 US dollars. That's insane. I think when I got in a little bit, and this is going to probably dox myself a little bit, but I didn't buy many or buy much. I don't have a whole lot in the stock market. But when I bought MicroStrategy, it was 1,100 US dollars. And it did a 10x stock split. So that would be the equivalent of, this would be 4,700 US dollars if they didn't do the stock split there on MicroStrategy. So that's insane. And so the MS, you can see this going up just like crazy right now. Holy, it almost hit 500. But anyways, the MSTU here, if you look at this, like the MSTU would be 22% up today. It's 2x. So whatever it's doing, it's 2x. And if this was down 11% today, the MSTU would be down 22%. So it's a much more risky play. There's more to gain, but there's much more to lose as well. Wow. The other thing I wanted to say on that was yesterday I talked about the Michael Saylor interview that he did with PBD, Patrick Bet Davis. I don't know his name, PBD. His middle name's Bet, which is kind of cool. But we were talking about Michael Saylor, and somebody asked, or he said, "You have 5 kids." And Saylor said, "No, I don't have any kids." And it got super awkward. But I came to realize that somebody commented on the channel here. Where is this? Just give me one sec here. I'll find it. Here it is. This is from Because I Can. So this is important. I wanted to clear this up because I got this wrong yesterday. And I haven't verified this, which is probably bad, but I do trust this makes more sense than what I thought it was. So Because I Can said Saylor was talking fast and used the phrase, if I need to feed my 5 kids, just like as a metaphor or an analogy. Says, but he was just making an example regarding Bitcoin, and Patrick picked up on it. He does not actually have kids or a wife. Saylor has always said he does not have time for the distraction of a family. So, sounds like a miscommunication. Sounds like I heard it wrong. And so I just wanted to clear that up because yesterday I was questioning Saylor, essentially calling him a liar or, going down that road. So I wanted to clear that up in terms of what actually happened there. What else was I going to say on that? We'll watch a video here. It's 5 minutes of Saylor. It's only audio. It was on the Twitter Spaces he did yesterday. But he's talking about why, because I watched the pyramid video yesterday, the pyramid scheme that Craig sent. Very interesting. Very well done. Very well laid out. Very easy to follow. So I suggest people check that out themselves if they're a MicroStrategy holder. I don't necessarily agree with all of it, but there is something there for sure. And then I listened to the Twitter space, and they were talking about the premium on why MicroStrategy shares are selling at such a premium compared to Bitcoin. So in other words, if you had $100,000, or I guess $140,000 here in Canada, you could get one full Bitcoin. But if you're taking that $140,000 and you're buying MicroStrategy shares, you only get about 0.3 of a Bitcoin. So there's about a 3x, and it's probably more today now, 3x premium on top of Bitcoin that MicroStrategy is selling for right now. And personally, I think that the stock market, because they think much differently than Bitcoiners do, right? They think buy low, sell high. I think that the premium on MicroStrategy, aside from what Saylor is going to talk about here in this little clip, but I think people are paying for the premium, the expected price increase in 2024. They're trying to front run the Bitcoin bull run with MicroStrategy shares. Because if Bitcoin's value increased 10x, if it went from 90,000 to 900,000, the equity, the balance sheet of MicroStrategy would also go up 10x. So I think that that's what's being built into the premium right now, on top of what Saylor is about to talk about here. So we'll run this clip. We'll talk about some comments after, and then we're going to move to part 2 of the show. So here it is. This is 5 minutes long. I'll put it on 1.25x, and we'll listen to what Saylor has to say about the premium that people are paying for the Microstrategy stock and shock. So this is just audio, no video, but it's Saylor on a Twitter space from yesterday. I think it was yesterday.
Michael, there's a perception that your stock trades at a premium to the intrinsic value of Bitcoin that you hold in the core business. Is that your view? And if so, what explains it? Is that the Saylor premium?
No, that's only a perception of people that haven't been paying attention or don't really do any research. If you actually logged into our earnings call, or if anybody studied the company, that's kind of like saying there's a perception that Microsoft trades at a premium to its underlying assets. Well, yeah, it does. It trades 50 times greater than its net tangible assets. So does Apple, so does Standard Oil, so does every operating company. So the myth, right, the misunderstanding here is people don't understand what our operating business is. Our operating business is a treasury operation that's securitizing Bitcoin. And the primary use that we offer to the marketplace is we offer high volatility, high leverage equity, like 2x Bitcoin in the equity, or 1.5x Bitcoin. And that's very valuable. If you're an options trader or you're an investor, you would rather have 1.5x or 2x leverage on the equity. And the way that we create that in a systemic fashion is we strip the risk, the performance, and the volatility off of Bitcoin, and we sell fixed income instruments to the fixed income market that can't buy Bitcoin and doesn't want the equity and doesn't want the volatility. So when we sell a convertible bond, at a premium. We might sell $1 billion bond, and we would probably capture 750 million or more in the arbitrage on the day we do the deal. And then if we hold the bond 6 years and Bitcoin goes up 21% a year, we make $3 billion on the back end. So we generate $3.7 billion of shareholder gains by arbitraging the duration on cheap capital with the return on a crypto commodity. And the people that bought the bond can't buy Bitcoin. They're convertible arbitragers, or they're fixed income investors, or they're institutional investors, or they have capital tied up in a 401k retirement plan. So if you understand those things, you realize that, it's kind of like, and I use this analogy, Jan, it's like if you looked at Standard Oil and you said, well, the company seems to be trading at a premium to the oil reserves. Well, no joke. That's because the company has a refinery and it creates kerosene. You ever try to put crude oil in a rocket, or crude oil in a jet, or crude oil in your car, or pour crude oil on a highway? The point is, you can't. You need asphalt, you need gasoline, you need kerosene, you're refining it. You can't do the refining without the reserves. So the Bitcoin reserves that we have a practical use. The use is they're collateralizing the fixed income instruments, and then they're creating volatility and performance for the equity instrument, which feed the option instruments, which create the volatility. And all of those things together mean that we're just kind of like a transformer. You got 480 volt 3-phase power coming in one side of the property, and on the other side, you want to run your daughter's hair dryer, or or your washer and dryer, or your electric heater, or and
I think
most
3-phase electricity will blow out the hair dryer, but I get your point. I think it's
I'm actually making the point that 3-phase power is what I use to run my 500-ton yacht, but there's a massive transformer that steps it down, from the street. And what Microstrategy is doing with its capital is it's transforming high voltage Bitcoin into low voltage securities. And so that to focus upon the premium is completely missing what's really going on here. And I'll give you one more number, which I think is pretty important, which is today, if you look at my tweet, I just noted we generated a yield of 41.8% this year, which is the equivalent of 79,130 BTC. That at 90,000 something a coin, that's $7.3 billion. And so if I didn't tell you what we did, and if I didn't tell you how much Bitcoin we have, and the only thing you knew about my company was we generated 7.3 billion in earnings delivered in Bitcoin, and we're growing more than 75% a year, how much do you think the company's worth?
Tremendous amount.
Yeah,
I think that's a great,
and then you would add
explanation.
in,
Yeah.
and then you would add in the Bitcoin position. So
Right,
really,
right.
the people that are focused on the premium are ignoring the fact that that's a company generating billions and billions of dollars of shareholder value a year in hypergrowth mode.
Well, yeah, I mean, lots to cover there from that. It might be worth listening to that again. But I mean, I think that there's a couple things here that I kind of want to. We got to go. I realize I have a meeting at 10, and I want to do this UTXO thing right after this. So it's like the convenience. That's a big one. That's why there's a premium there, because a lot of people just who want to buy Bitcoin, want Bitcoin exposure, simply can't. So there's the convenience there. I think that there is the front running of Bitcoin price in terms of being able to capture it in a stock and in a volatile stock. It's good for traders. It's good for long-term holders. And so there's the premiums on it, plus the functionality of it and what they're doing, the vision for it. They're very transparent. They're very clear with what they're going to do. There's going to be no surprises. There's no external factors. I mean, other than a cyber attack that will take the network down for 2 weeks. But other than that, like there's no products, or there's no services that could go out of style, right? So I think that most people are front running this. That's the reason for the premium. And I think that, as Wyatt said here, just going back to the leverage play, just put a small chunk of moose shekels into MSTU. I think MicroStrategy will get to $1 trillion market cap. I mean, it's probably worth doing. I wouldn't sell any Bitcoin for it, but I would say, like, get a couple of the MSTU longs. You're not going to, the worst case scenario goes to zero. Best case, MicroStrategy gets into the S&P 500. It's the top 100, top 10, top 1. And as I've said on the show before, if Bitcoin succeeds and MicroStrategy gets to number 1, it's never leaving that, because nobody else is going to be able to catch MicroStrategy. So it's probably a good idea to just like buy a couple of these MSTUs with zero expectations and basically just fall asleep for the next 10 years and just see what those turn into, especially if you can put those in a tax sheltered account today. That's a big move, in my opinion. Again, don't go crazy. Take like 2 to 5% of your portfolio, put it into that leverage play, and just sit on it. Don't try to get greedy. Don't think you're a trader. Just buy some today and let this thing play out. And if you're wrong, you lose a couple $100. If you're right, you're going to have godly amounts in your TFSA, in your tax-free account. Love the transformer analogy. Yeah, that I like that one too.